All right, guys. All right, we got to roll. Andy, are you ready?
Oh, I was born ready.
Don't take that personally with what you got beautiful teeth.
I'm just saying, worth it, right?
Worth it.
Yeah, my tooth got ripped out of my mouth, man. I didn't really plan on that one. Okay.
It's true. Okay, we got to go. They're getting on me. Okay. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everybody, to another mid-level show. This is the show where we talk about we give a different perspective on this week's Doctor's Note, this week's Dictations podcast. We get our crew here. We get the whole team. We don't have the whole team here today, but we always have a good portion of them. We have Amber in Kingsport, and we got Fran in Johnson City, and we've got Andy who's in Kingsport today. We're gonna talk about this week's interview. That was a fascinating interview that Dr. Rogers gave with Dr. Marshall Jewett out of Local Orthodontics in Johnson City, at Local Ortho on Facebook. Huge shout out to him for coming on the show and giving his thoughts and his expertise on facial structure, on teeth, and the impact that has on your health. But I want to kind of go into our homes here today, and Amber, I know you have a young family, and one of the things that Dr. Jewett talks about is getting kids into the orthodontist at around age 7. Why don't you just talk to us about your experience, raising your kids, and how you're thinking about the dentist and the orthodontist for them?
Yes, well, I actually graduated with Dr. Marshall Jewett. So if he's watching or listening to this, he did awesome. So that was really great. And I'm so proud of him. That's awesome. So I had a lot of takeaways just because exactly what you said, the point of life where I'm in, our oldest is 4, so about to be 5, so 4, 3, and 1. And I'm so happy to have this information on the early end. We have gone to the dentist. But we're just in the teeth cleaning, that kind of stage. When he started talking about an open bite, and this was one thing I thought, well, maybe I can contribute to if there's any other young moms, dads, parents listening, the open bite feature that can, change them structurally and hurt them from a breathing standpoint, make them more open mouth breathers, is a passy. Let me just say, we love passies in this house. We live by passies in this house. Every child has had a passy in this house. So I'm not knocking passies. Babies suck a lot. And so that is it's comforting. It's reduces SIDS. It's good. Sometimes we hold them a little too long. Like in our case, our about 2.5 was when we broke our first 2. The youngest one, who's just 1, still has his. But it did form an open bite with our daughter. And when we went to the dentist, that was something that, can cause airway issues. Now, to encourage those young parents who have passies in their home currently, whenever you decide to drop that, whether it's, 2.5, that's on the later end. But our daughter, our 4-year-old, it completely self-corrected. So at that young, malleable age, it's really, you have so much time to work with things. Fran, I wanted your opinion as far as having kids that have grown. Did you take them to the orthodontist voluntarily, or how did you get referred there?
I went there after cleaning appointments with the dentist, and the dentist would say, this child needs to go to the orthodontist, or this child needs his wisdom teeth looked at or not looked at because they don't exist, all kinds of things. So I had 3 that had orthodontic work, braces. And then the baby was the only one I gave a pacifier to, because I was against them when I had my first child. And he's the one who has perfect teeth and did not need orthodontic work. So, and I did not take it away till he was over 3. So,
it's just me, Fran.
He's just one of those things I couldn't, he was loud and I just needed to.
Yes.
View him right now. He needs to be on the podcast.
We've got to get him on the show.
Peyton, can you come over here and just smile? Show them that you have a perfect mouth.
Look at those. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How jealous am I?
That is from a pacifier. You heard it right from the horse's mouth.
I love that. What did you do with him that was different with the other kids? Just to clarify, you kept him on the
main thing that was different is I did not take his pacifier away. I didn't. And my first children, I didn't even allow them to have one. But by the time you get to the fourth, you will do anything to have peace.
Yes.
Right?
It just took me 3 to get there.
I worked on his microbiome. It would fall on the floor. I just put it right back in his mouth. I didn't sterilize anything. It just, everything changes.
Andy, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I had a lot of orthodontic work. I've had braces like 3 times. I'm not kidding. And I'm literally about to go do my next set of Invisalign for an adjustment in 2 weeks. So I love the orthodontist. Oh my God. And so I was a year behind Amber and Dr. Marshall Jewett, and I love Marshall. Yeah, please go see him if you need orthodontic work. I'm sure he's brilliant, and I'd be going to him if I hadn't already started Invisalign somewhere else. But I swear, I'm always working on my teeth. I'm obsessed with them. I always thought it was more. I thought it was more for cosmetic. That's what I thought. I always thought it was more. You have crooked teeth, go get them straightened out, but not really for breathing issues. And it makes a lot of sense. 2, coming from musical theater and as a vocalist and singer, I sing kind of incorrectly by jutting the jaw forward. And they teach you not to do that. They'll have you do exercises, and they'll have you do tongue exercises too. A relaxed tongue creates a better vocal quality. It's the true way to sing, of lifting the palate. The tongue is part of that. And if you have a very stiff, rigid tongue, that's what stuck out to me about the written note that he had, was that we tend to push this really strong muscle, the tongue, against the bottom of our mouth, and it juts the jaw forward. It should be resting on the upper palate.
Yeah,
and I did.
He said the tongue is an ortho force, and that was word for word what Dr. Jewett said, and that was wild for me just to think about. And Andy, I'm with you. Like, I always saw the orthodontist as cosmetic, and the way.
Didn't see the orthodontist. You just visualize. Ben and ladies, Ben never been to the orthodontist. I don't want to tell people, let us see your grill right now, but Dr. Jewett, if you're listening right now, I think we have a great patient for you waiting right here. Old Snaggletooth McGee on my left may need a little bit of orthodontic work. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you've been. That's because I love you. You're my brother, so I just have to tell you that. Ben has not seen an orthodontist. He's seen one, but not seen one.
This is all true. This is all true, and if Dr. Jewett's listening, I have not been to the orthodontist ever, and I blame my mother, who's she's editing this podcast, so I know she's listening. So Mom, what happened when I was 7? I don't know. Andy, maybe it's because he's the youngest. We fixed everything with Andy. That and maybe Amber, you can relate, but anyways, Amber, what do you think about seeing the orthodontist? Do you see the orthodontist any differently after this doctor's note, after the interview, in terms of going from cosmetic to thinking about airways and stuff like that? Like, I've never thought about it from an airway perspective.
No, absolutely not. I was fascinated because in my personal experience, my orthodontic trip was cosmetic. It was to straighten my teeth. I didn't wear braces very long. I didn't have a whole lot of in-depth work that had to be done. But I just think, like, as you were saying, and I actually thought about an insurance coverage, which I know nothing about, but if there's so much that's leading to these airway, breathing, sleep apnea, those can be correctable through, manipulation of your mouth, then those should be real procedures that are covered by insurance. Because it was cosmetic, my braces were not. I remember my parents telling me they were not, and so it was important that I took care of my teeth. So I just think, for patients who do struggle with that, that's something to look into, and also see if your insurance will cover that.
That's interesting about the insurance. I didn't think about that. I just, one thing that really stood out to me was the making noise while you're sleeping, and and how you should be watching out for that. And Fran, like, did you ever think about that while raising your kids, or did you ever think about that in general?
No.
Right?
No.
It's just a different way of thinking about it. And now I'm thinking totally differently. I'm thinking about breathing silently, and I know that's kind of what a couple weeks back we talked about breath with James Nestor, but the noise thing is really interesting. And Fran, why don't you just give us your thoughts on silent sleeping, and have you changed the way you do things personally?
No, I keep meaning to go out and get some breathe right strips because I know I snore. My husband wakes me up snoring a lot. I just hit him. That usually works, but maybe I should take a different approach. So that we can both get more sleep, more quality sleep.
Yeah, I'm noticing a health cycle here, like snoring, you guys not sleeping. There's some health stuff going on there. We gotta
breathe right strips like Dr. Rogers mentioned. And then actually my father-in-law, he has a deviated septum, but it's not been corrected, and he uses Vicks vapor rub to help kind of just open those passageways, not in his nose, but externally. And it seems to, so that's another maybe home, thing you can try.
Well, the one thing
taping your mouth shut.
Yep.
Taping your mouth shut. Who hasn't thought of that?
Thinking about like, hey, I am making noise at night and I'm congested, doing something about it, not just going to bed congested, using Flonase to open up your nasal passages, using breathe right strips. I found it very interesting that all this is related to getting more oxygen. Like to me, that's simple. There's 1,000 ways to go about it and it becomes complex, but like the note that he made about how 50% of ADD can be corrected with an adenoidectomy or removing tonsils, like you're just getting more oxygen to the brain, and then 50% of kids have less ADD or ADHD. That's crazy to me. That just means your brain needs oxygen. You got to feed it. So there's just these, I don't think orthodontic work is simple, but I think that's a great way to just get more oxygen to your brain. I love that the answer, that the problem or the obstacle is simple. Let's get more oxygen. You'll sleep better. You'll feel better. I had a patient 2 days ago said that she's been taping her mouth shut and she's already felt more energy.
Yeah, I've actually been, and I think you are too, Andy. Are you reading Breath right now by James Nestor, or are you digging into that book or no?
No, well, I have to finish the 4th book in the Harry Potter series, but once I that, I will go back to Breath by James Nestor. But yes, I have a few more things to learn about.
It's
tournament.
It's in line, but I've actually been looking into it quite a bit, and one thing that James says in the book is that you can actually create more space in your nose just by intentionally breathing through your nose, and it can actually it's like your body will figure it out, even if you have somewhat of an obstructed deviated septum, as long as not everyone needs surgery for that, according to the book. Like you can actually breathe through it essentially. And Andy, you're right. Like it's all about oxygen, and the idea behind nose breathing is that you can actually do more with less. So you actually use the oxygen you breathe in through your nose more efficiently than you do by breathing through your mouth. So you actually are getting more oxygen through nose breathing in a weird way. And obviously there's a lot of carbon dioxide stuff. But I found that interesting, and I find the whole relationship between orthodontic work and like Andy was saying, airways, super fascinating, and how it changes. A lot of what we're trying to do is change the reason people go to see their doctor, and I think an interview like this and an orthodontist like Dr. Jewett, can really change why people go see their orthodontist and the way they see dental care. Have you guys always been super into keeping up with your dental stuff? Has that been a thing, Fran? Because I've been terrible. It's been the hardest thing for me. But
It's because you didn't have braces for years and, parents to tell you to take care of your teeth. No, I mean, not that they didn't tell you, but I mean, because they spent so much money on your mouth.
Ben's main concentration was tennis, not his teeth. So he was always on the tennis court, never in the dental chair.
Thank you, Andy.
You're supposed to go every 6 months.
And you know what? And that's been, Go ahead.
Go ahead. In your defense, before we got married, Scott, my husband, who has wonderful teeth, huge mouth, so he has lots of space. I had like 5 permanent teeth pulled, just, awful. So he hadn't had his teeth cleaned in he couldn't remember years. And I was like, I'm not getting married to you. We are not even kissing on our wedding day until you get your teeth cleaned. And no cavities, perfect cleaning. I mean, so some people, like you were saying, it's kind of individualized, but yes. 6 months, I'm kind of anal about my dental cleanings.
I think I am, as I've, gotten into my 30s, that's been one of the bigger changes I've made from a health perspective is taking that super seriously. And it's taken a lot of convincing, a lot from my brother, on this lower quadrant there, if you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, that's been a huge change just in the way I saw taking care of myself, and I just didn't see the orthodontist this way. I saw it kind of in a similar way you see plastic surgeons, but there's a lot. Am I wrong there? What's y'all's thoughts on that? Just y'all are in the healthcare field in the sense you're providers. Is that just not a good analogy?
I wouldn't compare orthodontic work to plastic surgery work. Okay. Plastic surgery is reconstructive and not for purely cosmetic vanity,
that's right.
What you would vanity. There's a lot of plastic surgery that's used to correct things. So correcting a deviated septum, yes, you can get a nose job, but correct the deviated septum in the meantime, or reconstruct a nose that's been broken. So I would say that orthodontic work is fairly more common. You see a lot more braces in middle school than you would who are getting plastic surgery work.
But in some way, yeah, I think that I still didn't see it as such an important integral part of, like you said, ADD and sleep apnea, and correcting these things early on can have long-lasting effect as an adult. I just thought I had braces to make my smile look nice. That's
right.
So it's more part of preventative care than we realized.
Yes, I think so.
Yes, and that is something that's new to me. Absolutely.
And I wonder, because I think that's what I'm getting from this and from Dr. Jewett is this is a preventative thing, and and Amber with your family and our future families, whatever, it'll change the way you see for instance the people who sleep and you're making noise while you sleep. It's just interesting, and I'm fascinated by things that are within your control, and it seems like this sort of thing is kind of within our grasp, and something that we can use, especially starting at a young age. Guys, we're gonna have to wrap up here pretty soon. Let's go final thoughts. Let's Fran, what's your final thoughts on we've done breath, we've talked about breath, we've talked about facial structure. What's your big takeaway here?
Well, I thought when I listened to the interview was that, it's really not even too late for people who aren't 7 anymore. You can still go in, and there's ways to fix adult teeth for adults with sleep apnea. I mean, that might be CPAP is what's normally done, but maybe you could do it without that. People don't love sleeping with CPAP machines. So maybe just getting your teeth aligned would open up your airway enough if you suffer from that. I mean, it's worth looking into. You can still change your teeth even if you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s for that matter. You might live to 100. So
that's right.
40 years of good breathing.
Amber, what about you? What's your final take? What sort of changes are you gonna take from the talk with Dr. Jewett and from this breath stuff?
Well, I'm just thrilled and excited that I was able to get this information on this end of things. And I am pretty positive that I will be taking up, each, when they get to that 7-year mark, a consultation to just kind of see what are some of the things that we are looking at now and the potential problems in the future that we can correct early on. I'm just thrilled and excited to have that information now that I didn't have before.
Andy, what about you? What did you take? Does it cause you to see, orthodontics differently, prevention differently? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the note about it being part of preventative care, and I think that it's worth the visit. Go see Dr. Jewett. Go see and see what can be done. I think it's definitely worth investigating.
Yeah, it's definitely coming from a different angle here, and it certainly it has me seeing orthodontic work differently, and prevention. Prevention is becoming wider and wider. There's more and more things that we can do to live a healthier life, and this is certainly one of them. Again, thank you to Dr. Jewett for joining us on Dictations this week. And thank you to all the listeners out there. Thank you for hanging out with us today on the Mid-Level Show. For all those who want all of this content in your inbox, subscribe to Performance Weekly. That comes out every Monday, where we will have a link to this show and all the other shows that we are doing. So guys, thank you. performancemedicine.net if you need to subscribe. Guys, you were awesome today. Thanks so much. We'll see y'all next time, okay?
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.